Hi everyone, my name is Emily and I'd like to take you on a tour of some of the museums in Chicago. For me, the city is synonymous with learning. Many of my first trips to Chicago were to explore museums such as the Field Museum of Natural History, the Museum of Science and Industry, the Shedd Aquarium, the Adler Planetarium, and the Art Institute of Chicago. Most of the museums we will visit are along Lake Michigan. It's an easy and breathtaking promenade down the lakefront, taking in the Chicago skyline. One thing that you will notice on this journey is the architecture of the museums. These are some of the most beautiful buildings in the entire world. It's not hard to be fascinated by the buildings as well as what they offer inside. Our first stop is the Field Museum of Natural History. Growing up, this was my favorite museum to visit. It felt like I was going back in time or stepping right into my textbooks. I could stand among the massive remains of dinosaurs, woolly mammoths, and other extinct animals. We're going to take a little detour now off of the lakefront. The museum that my family always enjoyed the most was the Museum of Science and Industry. From interactive exhibits to staff demonstrations, the museum always made learning fun. This museum covered everything from technology to health to meteorology. During the Christmas season, there would be giant Christmas trees decorated in themes of all different nations. One of the museum's best features you can all enjoy is their giant dome theater, the only one in Chicago. Heading back to the lakefront now, we hit the Shedd Aquarium. Although this has never been my favorite museum, I can't help but be in awe of it. From its beautiful facade to the vast walls of fish tanks, this aquarium gives you a glimpse of the aquatic ecosystems all around the world. As well, you can learn more about the ecosystem right here in Lake Michigan. One of the coolest parts of the tanks are that they are home to every part of the ecosystems you could imagine. They include everything from the plants and plankton to the coral reefs, and finally to the fish and sea mammals. Now we're going to stroll around the Shedd Aquarium and continue our journey along the lakefront. At the edge of the lakefront sits the Adler Planetarium, which takes you to the edge of the universe. A significant part of the planetarium is the observatory, which houses the largest telescope in the state. Just like a real astrologist, you can look through the telescope. You won't be the same after you take in some otherworldly sights of our solar system. Inside the planetarium, delve into the history of astrology and its discoveries. Heading the other direction on the lakefront up to Michigan Avenue, you'll approach the steps and lion statues of the Art Institute of Chicago. It's an elegant building with beautiful gardens. As I grew older, this became my favorite museum to visit. I'd find myself coming more and more often. Although there are constantly new exhibitions inside the museum, I always find myself spending the most amount of time in the same exhibits: the Impressionism, Post-Impressionism, and Realism. Similar to the Field Museum, the Art Institute transports me into the past. I see myself sitting with French painters in the late 1800s and at the turn of the century. My many visits to the museum influenced me and led me into pursuing art as a career. museums have shaped and influenced me in so many ways. Not only have I made wonderful memories here at these museums with friends and family, but they have made me a genuinely curious person with a mind open to learning. After every visit to one of these museums, I always feel like I left a different person.